Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to the Sunday morning weekly setup social for week 4 of June. My name is Katie Gideon, and I am dialing in from Edinburgh, Scotland, and I will be the on-camera facilitator. And I want to give a huge shout out to my co-facilitator, Maya, who is dialing in from Colorado. You will see her in the chat, and we'll continue the conversation there. So if you need any help from us, let us know. As always, we are so glad that you are here. We are so glad that you have set aside this time to focus on your self-care journey. I'm seeing a lot of folks getting excited about hitting kind of those next milestones, the mega milestones, kind of all of those things as we work through our kind of journey this year. I love seeing all of our returning socialers. It's always really nice to see all of the returning names in the chat. It really makes me happy. It makes me smile because it's definitely one of those. I feel like you all are definitely the inner circle of friends that I have, so it wouldn't be a setup without any of you. Let us know in the chat if this is your first social or if this is your first setup social. We always love to welcome our new folks, and also double check, especially if you want to share in the chat with the larger group, that it is set to everyone. If it's just set to host and panelists, that just comes to myself and Maya. But if you are new, we do definitely recommend, it can be a little bit of a challenge of the senses. The chat's going to be running. You're going to be trying to do some work in your journal. I'm going to be talking, there's going to be music playing. So part of it becomes kind of figuring out a cadence of what works for you, because there are going to be days where you just kind of want to put the journal aside and be present because you had a day and you love the support that the Sonder fam gives you. But then there are going to be other days where you really just kind of want to buckle down and start working in the journal. So maybe you'll put the chat aside or kind of make it a little bit smaller as you work through those, so there are no right or wrong ways to not only journal, but there are also no right or wrong ways to participate in these socials. And as always, be kind and courteous to yourself and others. No promotions or spam. Please respect everyone's privacy. No hate speech or bullying. We ask that you limit repetitive product and accessory questions. The Silk and Sonder app can be a great place for that. And then while Maya and I have some information, we will most likely redirect a lot of your customer care inquiries to our team at hello@silkandsonder.com, especially regarding kind of individual accounting information. And then, as always, Sonder Socials are a tool to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community. But you are responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. So we are so glad that you have come as you are. If you've had an amazing week, if you've had a not so amazing week, we are here to celebrate those wins and the progress that is being made there. But we're also here to support and help those that maybe didn't quite hit what they wanted to do that way. So I'm seeing that people also had kind of a week. We are glad, and we're glad that you're here because we're glad that we can start over and we can start anew and figure out how best to kind of tackle the last week in June. So with that being said, we are continuing with our last week of Thrive, which is the theme for June. What I do like about Thrive is, for me, it certainly can be kind of an end goal, an end mindset. And then there are certain ways to do the kind of thrive in or thrive on, bring in kind of some of those environmental conditions or what's the support that you need in order to thrive. But I feel like there was also something that was maybe missing in those components, and that a lot of it was kind of the internal work that needs to be done when it comes to thriving. But then also realizing that there are times that you really thrive because of who has helped you along the way. The reason this really connected with me is I had a supervisor just kind of randomly reach out to see how I was doing. They played a really big part in pitching the idea for me to transfer from Texas to Scotland in the position I'm in, and so certainly went out on a limb for that, and I'm forever grateful for that support and the confidence that they had in me. So the opportunity to kind of thank them and always acknowledge that we don't get to these thriving positions on our own. I am very lucky to have kind of family and friends that support my crazy ideas so that I can go and thrive and do all these great things. So I think it's another one of those of being able to acknowledge not only who has thrived and helped us thrive, but maybe also on the flip side, how have you helped others thrive? And sometimes that's as simple as smiling to a stranger, smiling to your neighbor, holding the door for someone, all the way to, was there someone that you kind of took an invested interest in, maybe the next generation, all of those things. So I feel like this week I'm going to focus a little bit on kind of those internal and external features of who has helped me thrive, or maybe who has I had the opportunity to kind of help thrive as well. Which does lead a little bit into a little bit of a spoiler alert when it comes to the mind map. Actually had that idea before I did the mind map question, but you'll see the connection really quickly. As we move into our Thrive mind map, we'll do a rosebud thorn and then move into those weekly setup pages. So we are on that final week of our mind map. So by the end of this today, you should have a lovely completed mind map page, which I feel like there's so much satisfaction in those. But if you haven't set it up yet, make sure you find that blank page. This is not printed in your journal. These are unique to the weekly setups. And it also means we have included the previous week. So if you do miss out on a week, don't worry, you can include those sections there. But if you're joining us for the first time or maybe missed a few weeks, you don't feel like you need to catch up. And then, as always, we only have the 4 weeks here, and as Maya has put in the chat, there will be a bonus mind map question as we transition to July, so that we stay with those kind of 4 dedicated monthly mind map questions. So that will be, you don't need to worry about saving a space for that in this mind map, and you don't need to worry about including it in the next month's mind map. And if all of that sounds crazy to you, don't worry, we'll preface it the next go around as well if you just have no idea what we're talking about. But we are still embracing the theme of Thrive through as we dig a little bit deeper. So making sure to consider both inside and outside, as well as the physical, mental, social, or all of the above components to achieve those things that lead to thriving. And so we know that these can be a combination of happiness, accomplishment, as well as continuous learning. So as I said, the first week, we had our previous weeks there listed, and so for week 4, we're now adding to thinking about thriving with contribution. And so under contribution, it's that feeling like you're making a positive impact on the world is a key factor in thriving. This area focuses on finding ways to use your skills and talents to help others, contribute to a cause you care about, or simply leave the world a better place than you found it. So that's where I thought it was kind of then a little bit coincidental that I went on the kind of thriving side of thanking people who has helped me thrive, and now being able to kind of celebrate the contributions to that part of thriving. So I've kind of narrowed at least it down into what I would consider somewhat of a simplified question. So just because I frame it this way does not mean you need to do that. But we are embracing the thriving in the area of contribution. So it's more of how can you spend time or celebrate your contributions, show your gifts and talents to your world. And so the first thing I did was change the world because I didn't want to think in terms of the larger world because that's a little bit daunting for me. So I quickly changed that to think in terms of my world, my community, how can I contribute to my sphere of influence? And that just helped me kind of bite off a little bit more that I could chew instead of trying to solve all of the world's problems in a very short time frame. But then you can also break this down into one skill or talent that you have that helps others. How can you show more of your talents and skills to your world? That can be a good starting question. Or it's another opportunity to celebrate the impacts that you have that allow someone else to thrive. And what I've kind of realized, especially as I was looking into this, there's those things that you kind of intentionally choose to contribute to, especially within the theme of thriving. But there are also so many things that we do instinctually with how we can contribute. And that's everything from, picking up trash to returning shopping carts to is your first choice to kind of, if you need coffee, do you go to a local coffee shop? Do you prioritize local charities? Do you volunteer for local charities? There are certainly smaller steps that you can break this down into just to truly kind of acknowledge that you actually are contributing on a pretty significant scale just with some of those instinctual choices that you've made. So again, we are exploring week 4 under the theme of Thrive with how can we spend our time, celebrate our contributions, or show our gifts and talents to the world to make those changes to help others within our community thrive. So I'm going to give you some time to work on this. Let us know in the chat, and we will see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I loved the inspiration of seeing how you contribute to your community and your sphere of influence in the thriving realm. And that's everything from a professional setting where it's knowing and understanding those that you work with, who works for you, and kind of prioritizing their kind of ability to succeed and do well. But then also the kind of volunteering side of things, the advocating for those that can't always do it. But also then just kind of those small acts of kindness, or the random acts of kindness, I feel like that is. I loved, I think Tina was the one that mentioned that when she's traveling, she always offers to take photos. I feel like I do that as well. And it's those little things that you just don't think of as being like kind of massive, but that could be the highlight of their trip, or that could be the photo that they show all of their family members, and kind of that highlight of the trip that's now captured there. Same thing with the simple things of compliments, or holding the door open for someone, saying thank you. All of those things contribute to a thriving community. And again, I think it's part of acknowledging there are ones that you do intentionally, and then there are ones that are just so instinctual, and the ability to kind of be able to kind of acknowledge and celebrate those, I think, is really great. And so with that, we have completed our June monthly mind map with Thrive. And for me, these pages just become really inspirational and really reflective, as just kind of really good ways to kind of acknowledge and see the growth that you've done, or the reflection that you were able to do through the course of that month. Because again, I'm also a big, reader, a big fan of a story. So it tells a really lovely story. So thank you, everyone, for sharing. And now we're going to move into the Rosebud Thorn reflection. So this is going to be page 50 in your June journal. And again, still an opportunity in that realm of reflection to acknowledge the highs that you had this week, the maybe lows that you had this week, and everything in between, because the ability to kind of acknowledge each of those things is really powerful, but also being able to use it as a litmus test to design maybe how you want to set up the week to come, because you want to carry over some of those things that led to roses. Maybe you want to stop some of those things that caused thorns, or at least maybe redirect your approach to it. So starting with the rose, that's going to be a highlight, a win, something that made you smile, something that made you happy. And those can be very big, those can be really small. Sometimes it's just what makes you happy. For me, my rose this week was I've picked up tennis again, and I needed a different racket. I got used to using a particular type of racket in the US, and I realized that yes, I am out of shape, and yes, I haven't done it in a while, but there were limitations to the racket that I wouldn't, they were mistakes I was making that I normally didn't. So it's always fun to go out and get a new sports equipment, and I love it, and it's blue and white and green, and it makes me happy. The bud is going to be an emerging opportunity, something that you're looking forward to, something that's exciting, something that you can be optimistic about, or something that's maybe out on the horizon that you don't quite know what to do about it yet, but it's there, and you certainly are interested. Is that something that you want to cultivate, or something that you potentially want to ignore? So the emerging opportunity, my birthday is on Saturday. I'm a June birthday, so June 29th, so I'm getting excited about it. And it's always a little tricky because I feel like I've spent more birthdays away from friends and family than I have with. So it's always kind of a fun, how can we do it? How can we figure out how to make it work? How can I make it feel special? And a lot of times it's just kind of being able to sit and do exactly what I want when I want, which I feel like always makes it really fun and exciting and something to look forward to. And then the challenge is something that didn't go so well, something that was a roadblock, a speed bump, or maybe something that's just taking up too much space in your mind that you can't quite shake. So for me, the thorn was a little bit tweaking of my lower back. Originally, I thought it was associated with tennis, but I really think it's the, kind of the way I sleep. I don't sit like I should on a couch. I'm one of those that curls everything up. So I think it's more of just like a kind of muscle strain, but no big deal. I get to go and see my acupuncturist this week, so we'll be able to sort that out. But certainly makes it inconvenient when you're just trying to function and it kind of twinges. So let us know what your rosebud thorns are if you want to share in the chat, because we certainly want to celebrate those roses with you, get excited about those buds, as well as provide whatever kind of digital love and support we can in those thorns. And we will see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. Please continue to share those rosebud and thorns in the chat as we continue. Sometimes it really is just a bit of a release to be able to put all of those things out into the universe in such a kind of supportive group. So super, I love those kind of special weeks where your rosebud thorns coincidentally turn out to be the same thing. So I think that was a case for some folks, as well as certainly celebrating with all of the work promotions, as well as, crushing the goals, all of those things, as well as the little things that I think are so unique to summer. And a lot of it is setting kind of boundaries and acknowledging those boundaries, all those things. Getting excited for all of the things that can come up ahead. And then sending out just kind of extra digital love and support for some of those thorns, especially around family dynamics. Those can certainly be tricky, especially coming off the holiday weekend that we had. I feel like those always kind of stir up all of those kind of thoughts, and they're never easy to navigate, as well as those folks that are on kind of whatever healthcare journey. Same thing with on the flip side of maybe not quite reaching the goals that you wanted, but that's okay. We get to acknowledge them. We get to put out there that they exist, and then we get to now set up our week anew, kind of maybe taking into consideration some of those things, especially if it's a routine that you want to continue to do, or maybe the setup that you had for the previous week, or maybe you didn't set it up at all. Maybe those are things that you can then carry into this week, because I have found that a lot of times, for me, attitude is everything. So if I manage my expectations really well, just taking into consideration the week I had, the mental state I'm in, certainly helps kind of accomplish some of those things in just the littlest form. So thank you everybody for sharing. We are now going to move to page 52 and 53 in your June journal for the weekly planner setup pages. This is why we're here. And this is one of those, I feel like it's always a great grounding component to consider, what do you need this week? Because sometimes each week is going to look a little bit different, so your needs are going to look a little bit different. So while we provide different examples and talk through different things, there is no right or way to set up your week. Sometimes if you get a little lost of, well, I don't know how to do this, or I wasn't quite inspired this way, sometimes just asking yourself, what do you need this week, is a good way to do that. And that's the same thing with, you can absolutely repurpose every single section on either of these pages, or you can absolutely keep them as such. We just know that those weeks are going to look different from week to week, so the ability to be able to change them on a regular basis, I think, is great. So consider this your permission to make whatever changes that you need to do, to use what sections you need, leave what sections you don't need blank, and go crazy with the stickers. Don't hoard the stickers. Use the stickers. They are to be used. And so we're going to start at the top of page 52 with This Week I Want to Feel. I usually ask myself, how do I want to feel this time next week? Because as I am navigating those rosebuds and thorns of each week, I always want a place that I can come back to as kind of a ground truth, or a point of equilibrium, or kind of that end goal. I'm certainly a very goal-oriented person. So I always ask myself, how do I want to feel this time next week? And sometimes it's, I want to feel more something or less something. Sometimes it's, I just want to feel 1% better. Sometimes it's a combination of words. Sometimes it's not a word at all. Sometimes it's definitions, it's phrases. Sometimes it's the previous week's word, or maybe it's your word of the year. There are all those things that you can kind of use and phrase, and sometimes it's also not a way that you can describe. So maybe it's like, I don't know how I want to feel, but I want to feel the way this happy little manatee in a flower crown feels. So I don't know how to describe it. Or there's a sticker that really speaks to you where it's like, this is my goal. I know what it means. And this is what I want to come back to, because this is how I want to feel this time next week. So I'm just going to do a quick little song. So let us know how you want to feel this time next week. And we'll see you soon. I love the intentional optimism that figuring out how you want to feel this time next week always makes the chat seem, but seeing some really great words in there. And I love the idea of having maybe a month, how you want to feel this month as a way to break it down. So there, again, no right or wrong ways to do this. It's more of whatever makes you happy. And how do you want to feel this time next week? So now we can kind of build at the connection between the different sections. So again, we're still on page 52, and instead of, these are the weekly major three goals, so these are the goals that you're going to utilize to help you feel the way you want to feel. And sometimes these can be major three goals, maybe these are minor three goals, maybe these are just categorized goals. So there's no kind of right or wrong way to structure this, but some people have done it to where they have a professional goal, a mind goal, and a body goal. Some people did that direct connection with they wanted to feel calm, centered, and creative. So that meant a calm mind, a strong and centered body, or a creative spirit. The mind, body, soul is another great category, but sometimes it really is just, here's the one thing I want to do, a second thing I want to do, and a third thing. I tend to use it a little bit as a mental or emotional reminder to get myself through the week. So my major three goals do not tend to change too much from week to week. A lot of it is just kind of refocusing on, am I going to have a busy week? Am I going to have a little bit of a mentally taxing week? Or am I on vacation that week? We also love the alliterations when it comes to categories. So maybe it's a productive, peaceful, and powerful. Maybe it's a frog, fun, and fierce. You will see a running theme with the bingo boards because there's never a wrong way to use a bingo board. And some people, again, will use those categories for their goals and then directly correlate their to-do list to those. So in order to reach their mind, body, and soul goals, they have different to-dos that they're going to accomplish in order to consider those goals achieved. Maybe this is a completely repurposed section where this is where your self-care kind of goals are, or your routines. And again, maybe it is just the gentle reminders to yourself, or it is the three things. And another kind of learn, leap into, and let go. With the different categories, it kind of helps with prioritization. And that's how you can kind of connect those to your to-do list if that's how you want to do it. So let us know how you use your major three goals. Are these just the gentle reminders that you need to give yourself throughout the week? Are you a categories person? Is there any correlation that you have between the goals and the to-do list? Love to have that conversation in the chat, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing not only how you kind of utilize the goals here, but I also want to highlight that Kate brought up with June being kind of the middle of the year, it is a really good opportunity to check in with those intentions, but not only use those intentions in, but then to reflect forward, because a lot of those kind of goals that you can use here are kind of directly from your intentions that you set at the beginning of the month. So being able to kind of call back to each of those pages, I think is really valuable. That is certainly something that I am working on when it comes to journaling. I'm trying to do better about connecting the monthly and the weekly pages back together a little bit more. So sometimes one of those goals really is just as simple as, hey, review your reflections, review your intentions, flip the other pages, go back and read it. So do not feel bad if that's what you need to kind of do to help with those reminders there. So we're still on page 52 and we're working on the weekly to-dos, which again, some of these may have correlations to those goals directly. For me, this section changes very much from week to week, and a lot of it just depends on what I need to do. And for me, a big thing is how do I prioritize the to-do things that I have. I am more of a to-do list person, and that's just because the mentality that I like to have. I like to write down all the things that I've accomplished to see what I have instead of dreading kind of going through the checklist aspect, because I have found that I tend to carry things over a little bit more if I have them down as a to-do list. There's a little bit more satisfaction for me of doing the things that have been done, which plays into the gamification. So maybe you are a bingo person. But what I also have found that I needed to do a few times is the Eisenhower matrix, which is that do, decide, delegate, or delete. Because I live by myself, I really don't have anyone that I can directly delegate things to. But I find ways to do it because there's nothing more than things that kind of agitate me or carry from week to week because I either don't have time to do it or I don't have the skill set to do it. So I have to kind of swallow my pride sometimes and delegate some of those maintenance issues or those things. And there is so much satisfaction when it's done by somebody else. And same thing with I never delete anything from my to-do list. I just get the opportunity to delay it because it probably needs to be done or it wouldn't be on a to-do list. So these I think have really helped structure, which is why my to-do list approach changes from week to week depending on the week that I have. Another kind of prioritization tool is just to categorize again your to-do list in ways that you need. Maybe it's a need, want, and hope. I like the idea of, hey, don't do this instead. So it's an acknowledgement of maybe the things that don't suit me, but these are the things that I can do instead of. If you had a hard time finding maybe the rose this week, maybe this is where you need to do those happy thoughts or the wins for the week. Another thing, as I know talked about last time, if you haven't quite found a purpose for the expense tracking or the sleep tracker, that can be a time tracking component. I've done it not only in the professional setting just to figure out how I spend my time, but I've also done it in a personal setting, and I realized that I spend quite a bit of time of wandering kind of to and fro, because again, I think I get a little distracted with I pick one thing up, put it down, and then that kind of leads to all these things. So I'm on a really weird like treasure hunt through the apartment. That certainly wastes time. So being a little bit more intentional for some of those things. And then someone also put in the app that their to-do list, they're actually going to utilize post-it notes for that section. And that, again, so they can carry over some of the stuff from the previous week or the week to week. So there are no right or wrong ways to do this, but I would certainly love to hear any advice or tips and tricks on how you tackle your to-do list in this particular section. So we'll see you soon. Thank you, everyone, for sharing. You guys give such amazing advice. I think that's what's really special about these is I feel like I am always learning something new and different, especially when I would say I'm in a little bit of a funk, just when it comes kind of like to do and productivity. And I think part of it is because I had been traveling so much, so I was on this kind of high end, got to get things accomplished because I'm going to be in the wrong place in order to get it done. And now that I've been home for a little bit, kind of relaxed a little bit too much, so I need to kind of rebuild my routine. But all of your approaches were really amazing to read, and I think they are amazingly tangible and wonderful ways, especially if you need to kind of shake this up to kind of hit some of your new goals. So thank you everybody for sharing all of your inspiring kind of ideas and approaches there, because it is certainly now kind of motivation for me to try something a little bit new and different, because if you guys can do these things, I want to be able to kind of go along with you on this kind of journey to make sure that I am as satisfied with my progress as each and every one of you are with. So thank you everybody for sharing. We are still going to stay on page 52. We're now at the bottom section, and that's going to be the habits and activities, or as Maya has coined it, the habities. And so these are the things that kind of you also want to work on. What I love is that some people take this as like, this is where you kind of try out some of the new habits and activities that you maybe want to use, and then you kind of graduate them to your monthly tracker. So we love that this definitely goes hand in hand with kind of the monthly habit and activity tracker. I use this a little bit on the fact that I am a creature of habit, so I carry over my same 3 habits that I want to do every single day. So those are on the monthly tracker, and I use it on the weekly, but I add that lens of reality. What does my workload look like? What are due dates? What's the weather going to look like? Because all those then play into how much can I realistically accomplish, and what do those accomplishments look like when it comes to the habities. So maybe you have the idea that you want to put a goal to it, and that's a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, or maybe it's just the kind of random things that you want to do depending on what they are. Maybe these are less kind of tangible things and more of the squishy ideas of just reminders to be kind to yourself, accept yourself, dress in bright colors, do something fun. Maybe you are on vacation or you have people visiting and you want to be present, so it's the I'm not going to track any of these. Or same thing with maybe you're not feeling well and your priority is to rest and get better. So that's where you don't need to use all 5 of these lines. Maybe the first one is just to get better or feel better or get well, especially if you're battling some sort of kind of medical concern. We also there's the idea of each of your weekdays may look a little bit different than your weekends, so being able to break it up that way as the kind of guide there. And as always, again, you don't need to use all of them, especially if these are things that you're trying out. Maybe these are habits that you want to stop. Maybe it's that acknowledgement there. And then as always, because it is summer, maybe you just need some friendly reminders from summer. And then we did know that we had a bingo board, so a little behind, but you can always pull something fun to throw in there, because that's what I also recommend doing. Is maybe one of your habits is something a little bit more internal, but something fun, something that takes you maybe a little bit out of your comfort zone, something that just makes you smile, that makes you happy, that you can always kind of come to rely on, because we do control these type of things when we put it down. So we want to strike that balance between challenging ourselves and helping us reach those kind of goals and achieve and take those steps, but at the same time finding that duality on the resting side of something fun, something that takes a little bit of the pressure off the mind and all those things. So let us know what habities you're working on, and we'll Thank you, everyone, for sharing. I love that on vacation you have a different set of habits and activities that you're doing, and I feel like that's what's great about these. But I also like the reminders and check ins, as Pam just put it, check in on currently at the end of the week, which is another way to reflect, but also being able to connect those to the other sections. I know a couple of our facilitators do actually literally write check in with the monthly trackers or check in with the intention pages. So this can actually be, I would almost say, like your little helpful cheat sheet to how you can kind of reflect and journal, especially when you need some of those kind of gentle reminders to do so. So we are now going to move over to the second page of the weekly setup pages, and that's page 53. These tend to be repurposed often, so just because we refer to them as repurposed pages does not mean that's the only way to do it. The meal plan does get repurposed a lot, but if you want to use it as a meal plan, by all means do it. I know people will also use this template as kind of a real-time tracker, be it symptoms or food intake or whatever kind of medical or health journey you're on. Again, maybe if you had a little bit of a hard time finding those roses, maybe this is a way to celebrate the one good thing that you did each day. Maybe this is where your to-do list lives. Also, kind of diving in a little bit more to the reflection side. Maybe it's a meal plan for the soul. Maybe this is a way, I used the trust from a previous month example, but maybe it's a way to tailor your reflections to the particular theme, or even use this as a reflection for the different milestones, especially since we did have, as we go further along in the month, you can kind of use each of those to come up with a plan to then move to the next half of the year. Maybe it's just a list of the priorities that you want to get done and how you filled your cup instead of the hydration water droplets. It's also a great place to put those affirmations that we see in the app. Maybe it is a clothing plan, especially if you're heading on vacation or if you travel. I utilize it for traveling just to make sure that I am utilizing what I need. I have everything that I need. Or maybe it's, again, you've got some really amazingly creative people who use this as a haiku or a word of the day to add to that reflection. It's just a really magical template that can be used for a lot of different things. And sometimes that's where I do ask myself, what do I need this week? And sometimes that answer is I actually don't need this page for that week. So that is why you will hear me refer to it as the B-side, because while there are some amazing gems here, it's probably not something that I listen to all the time, so not something that I use all the time, and I'm okay with that. The mind body health plan is also something that gets repurposed often. This can absolutely go hand in hand with kind of your meal plan. I liked the example of putting all the pieces together because they thrive when all the pieces come together. So those were the things that they did for their mind body health plan to complete their puzzle. As always, here's some additional summer self-care ideas. I like, again, the idea to reflect on this is how I'm feeling today, or this is how I felt today, so this is what I need either for the day, or maybe this is what I need tomorrow. Another place to maybe put a highlight of the day if you haven't put it somewhere else. Some other friendly June reminders, again, some of those amazing journal prompts, or even a focus on the 7 types of rest. I feel like Maya and I were both talking about how we're kind of both losing a little bit of sleep here and there. And so sometimes it's a combination of not only physical rest, but I went through that. I realized my social battery was running low. So being able to kind of acknowledge and focus on some of those areas, I think is really great. So I'm going to give you some time to work on the meal plan and the mind body health plan, and we'll see you soon. Thank you everyone for sharing. And then another section is that shopping list that can go hand in hand with those two previous meal plan sections there, or it can be another one of those repurposing either for self-care reminders, another great place for a bingo board. And I feel like any sort of category, the opportunities are limitless when it comes to the categories of bingo boards. So this is a great place to put that. But maybe this is also, again, your shopping list, the to be list, maybe the reminders for mini work breaks, maybe a don't buy or buy shopping list, but another one of those sections. And sometimes it's just nice to put a big old sticker there that'll motivate you through and help you thrive for your week. And then the other section there is the I am loving, which this is the kind of shout from the rooftops opportunity to put down something that makes you happy using that power of pen to paper, what you're loving right now in this moment, or what you love that week, what you love that day. There are no rules to that particular box other than the ability to say, I am loving this. And with that being said, we would love to continue the conversation in the app. We would also love if you feel so inclined to share your pages in there for inspiration. Obviously, we use examples in each of these socials. Everyone here, you all are amazingly inspirational, and I get such great ideas, as well as just motivation in general to tackle my week with as much gusto as each and every one of you. And we have actually reached the end of our hour together. Maya's going to start putting some of those links in the chat, or the QR codes are here. As always, we love to hear what you think, so make sure you fill out the survey. What socials do you want to see? When do you want to see them? Make sure you include your time zone. The YouTube link is also there in case you have to leave early, or if you show up late, or if there just isn't one that fits into your schedule, they will always be there. And then the ability to kind of be able to kind of have that on-demand component. Unfortunately, with the weekends, those tend to take a little bit longer to upload, but they should be there later in the day on Monday or first thing on Tuesday. But there's always going to be one in there for you. This is a copy of my playlist. I will include a link to the Spotify playlist in the chat. But as everyone, we are so excited that you spent this time with us, as well as the time set aside for just you. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. You guys are going to thrive this final week in June, and I hope to see you at a future social. So I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
I had a dream, or was it real? We crossed the line, and it was on. We crossed the line, it was on this time. I've been denying how I feel. You've been denying what you want. You want from me, talk to me, baby. I want some satisfaction. Take me to the stars, just like no more hesitations. This is on. Can't make it stop. Give me all you got. I want it all or nothing. No more in between now. Give your everything to me. Let's get real, baby. A chemical reaction. Take me in your arms and make me